Will Manso here with our Local10.com web extra on the subject of Chris Bosh releasing that part of his documentary where he talks about his journey to try to get back on the court, Clay. I think we learned a little bit more today with this release, but I'm curious as to what you learned and if it changed your perspective on anything ahead for Chris Bosh.
I think if anything, we've gone from what we thought was getting clearer to now the whole thing's a little bit more muddied. And what I find interesting about all this is the timing. You know, we've got training camp starting next week, and the interesting thing was that we had started to hear reports of growing optimism within the Heat that Bosh was going to be able to play. But now all of a sudden, you kind of get this coming out from Bosh where it starts to look pretty contentious between the two sides, and now you start to wonder if maybe that optimism either wasn't really there or maybe something has changed. And now as we get ready for training camp, all of a sudden everything now that we thought was starting to get a little bit more clear is now nothing but unclear. I think this is exactly where we were a couple of weeks ago, and that's, I'm sure if you're a Heat fan, pretty frustrating.
And he said in there that when the Heat told him, basically, he felt like he was thrown to the side. He even made the reference in the motion in that video that he was tossed aside and basically told he won't play again. This after the second occurrence of blood clots. That was a while back, though. I wonder how much has changed. And as you said, we've heard reports that the Heat are at least going to listen. My biggest thing is, and it hasn't changed, is that the only thing that matters is Chris's health. A lot of people bring the financial aspect of it. And look, you can't ignore the fact that if Chris Bosh doesn't play this year, and if the Heat don't allow him to play, don't clear him along with the NBA, that they're going to get those $25 million to use next year. That is a big, big thing. But I also still believe that if Chris Bosh is healthy and an all-star, there's no reason the Heat wouldn't want him on their roster. But the number one thing is his health. And one thing Chris Bosh didn't clear up in this video, as you said, it may have got a little more muddy, is the fact that he still hasn't said he's 100% healthy, ready, cleared. He has said he feels he's got the regimen, but there still is no bottom line thing that he is back and he is ready, other than his feelings.
And this isn't going to come down to anybody's feelings. It's not going to come down to whether the Heat feel as though he can play or that Bosh feels that he can play or can't. When the doctors get with him, and there's probably going to be, we read this report a while ago, it's not going to be the Heat doctors unless they clear him, because then it's done. It's not going to be Bosh's doctors unless they say he can't play, because then it's going to be done. What I think is going to happen is each side is going to have their stance, then you're going to get a third-party doctor that comes in. Until you've got that third-party doctor that comes in and says he can play, and both the Heat and the Players Union agree to it, or even if they say he can't, we're not going to have a resolution to this thing.
We will get some sort of answer when training camp begins. You mentioned here we are a week from training camp. Less than that, the Heat will report to the Bahamas on Tuesday. I think before that on Monday, I do believe that Chris will be at Media Day and make himself available. I do think he'll hold a news conference and finally talk to the South Florida media, talk to the national media that will certainly be here for the story, and give us a little clarity, but I don't think we'll have an answer Monday. I think this could linger for a while. All right, that's our Local 10 Web Extra.